Today, I'm going to cover a different kind of DIY. I'm currently in the beginner stages of learning Android development. I'm going to show you an app I created a while back on a development platform that worked great for me back then. Lately, I've been wanting to update some features of my app, but it didn't seem like I would be able to do it using the development platform I created it on. To see how I did do this, stay tuned. First off, I want to give you some background on this app I created. Using an online product named Thunkable, I was able to create my initial versions of Selfie Stopwatch. The app filled a need I had to be able to track my elapsed time on a hike I do regularly for a cardio exercise. At the end of the hike, I take a photo and the app would overlay my elapsed time over the photo. It was great for capturing the moment, but also worked well for record keeping of my hiking times. My needs were simple for this app and it served its purpose well. Over the years though, I'd begun to wish the app could do a little more. There were some functions I wanted to change, but found it was not possible in Thunkable. I had once tried to learn Android Studio and failed at that attempt. The urge to upgrade my app though was greater than my resistance to learn Android Studio, so I gave it another try. After 3 or 4 attempts over a couple of years, I was finally able to learn enough to begin upgrading Selfie Stopwatch. At a beginner level, it was a slow and tedious process, but I did get to a point that I'm happy with. Today, I'm going to share with you the differences between the old and new app and my thoughts on using either Thunkable versus Android Studio. Let's get started. Here, you can see the main screen of both the old and new Selfie Stopwatch side by side. It's basically the same interface with some of the buttons moved around. On this screen, the first change is the count-up timer no longer tracks hundredths of a second. It seemed impractical to have that kind of timing accuracy, as this is not an app to time competitive racers in head-to-head competition. Another change is moving the reset button to a safer location where it wasn't so easy to press by accident. And another change was adding the large lock icon to the slider. This gives a visual cue of what the slider is for, but also provides a large handle for the user to touch when using the slider. It did get annoying at times when 2 or 3 tries were required to grab the old slider's tiny button. This was one of those simple changes Thunkable could not fix. My other changes are on the snapshot screen. This is the selfie taking screen, and this is where my favorite changes are taking place. On old Selfie Stopwatch, control would be given to the camera app of the phone. You'd take a photo, control would be transferred back to Selfie Stopwatch, the date and time information was automatically added, and you could then add a short phrase, which would be placed in a pre-selected location across the top of the photo. New Selfie Stopwatch lets you see everything in real time. In a live preview, the date and time are already displayed. A new camera toggle icon swaps the preview between the front and rear facing camera. Still in development, the T icon is a more flexible way to add text directly in the live preview. It will also allow for changes to text using pinch and rotate gestures. The share icon is missing but will be added soon. Other than that, Selfie Stopwatch will be the same basic app that, in the end, gives you a photo with your elapsed time on it. Thunkable is sort of a derivative of another product named App Inventor, which I actually started out with. Eventually though, special features built specifically for Thunkable drew me closer to that product. Things like AdMob ads in your app and the use of Cloudinary and Firebase made it stand out. Also, the staff behind the scenes are always available to answer your questions through a members-only blog. Anyone who feels they want to create apps but feel they don't have enough knowledge of programming should give Thunkable or App Inventor a try. It will definitely give you a sense of accomplishment when you complete your first app and run it on your personal phone. I was amazed when I ran my first app on my own phone. Of course, YouTube is probably the best place for tutorials. Even some of the more complicated tutorials can be fairly easy thanks to the easy-to-use Thunkable interface and extremely simplified approach to coding almost any app function with a GUI. Android Studio. I can't say much about it because I'm not a seasoned developer and don't plan to be, but I can't help but think that possibly some of the most downloaded apps on Google Play Store are created in Android Studio. For myself, it was a matter of finding the right tutorial to get me started and also a lot of personal motivation to keep me going. You also have to find videos that match your learning style, if that makes sense. For myself, I can't watch someone teach for long periods of time. Before long, I'm waking up. The videos you're looking at were perfect for me because they were extremely short. There was no time to get sleepy. If you start losing focus, you just continue the next day with the last video you were on. Even repeating videos wasn't bad since they were so short. I'm looking forward to the day when the language you code in no longer matters and everyone will use the standard GUI-based object-oriented system to build their own apps when needed. Time was when you had to literally take classes just to learn how to use an SLR camera. And even then, not everyone got the hang of it. The DSLR changed all that. Suddenly, people with the motivation and artistic skill could become professional photographers without having to learn the non-artistic skills of camera mechanics. I'm hoping coding will evolve in that same way. I'm sure there are many people in the world with great ideas for apps, but don't have the skill set to move forward on their ideas. Thunkable, though limited to how creative you can get, I feel is on the right path. The design of the interface is the right idea, but the flexibility of how it can be used needs to mature. Simple things like not being able to change the look of a button on a slider control can be frustrating. This is part 1 of a 2-part series. In the second part, I hope to show you my completed Selfie Stopwatch. I hope you've enjoyed this slightly different video from the norm. If you have anything to ask or say, leave it in the comments below. That's all I have for now, and I'll catch you in the next video.